We will now do a couple of meditations on anger, dealing with anger, contemplating on its disadvantages, and applying certain antidotes that can help us deal with this particular afflicted emotion. So let's go right into it. Find yourselves in a comfortable position. Allowing the bell to bring you back into the space of the body. And taking a brief moment to set a good intention for this meditation. You can make it specific to dealing with anger. Thinking how this afflictive emotion is something very difficult to deal with. How it can potentially harm yourself and harm others. So we do this practice in order to familiarize ourselves with methods to be able to deal with it. So now take your time to go through the process of settling the body in its natural state, including grounding the awareness and the physical sensations, feeling your body pressing down on the cushion or the chair. And expanding the awareness, becoming conscious of the entire space of physical sensations. Use it as an opportunity to notice also the posture. Make sure you have an upright back, that you're naturally upright, but not in a tense way, in a very relaxed, very natural way of simply abiding in the posture. And then relaxing from head to toes, scanning the body inch by inch, part by part, noticing the presence of tension. Simply relax and let go. Let the body and the mind find balance. And as the body settles down in its natural state, accompanied by the speech and the mind, give yourself the space to observe physical sensations of the breath, and simply stay with the breath for a moment, just observing without controlling, without judging, without forcing anything. Find yourself in a state of calmness and tranquility. And then we let go of the sensations of the breath, the physical sensations. We go into the space of the mind, contemplating on anger. So first and foremost, it's good to understand and to define anger, to know that it's an afflictive emotion. And that is basically a mind which arises due to exaggerating the negative qualities of a person, object or situation, or by superimposing negative qualities that aren't there at all. Anger then wants to harm the source of unhappiness. Anger or hostility is a generic term that we attribute to even being irritated, annoyed, critical, judgmental, self-righteous, belligerent, and hostile. To quote Shantideva, an 8th century master, he says, "The mind does not find peace, nor does it enjoy pleasure and joy, nor does it find sleep or fortitude when the thorn of hatred and hostility dwells in the heart." This comes to show that anger is detrimental first and foremost to ourselves. So taking a moment, try to reflect on your own experiences. Recalling moments where you've experienced anger, got irritated, upset, reacted in a hostile way to a particular situation, to a person, perhaps even to a thing. And we examine whether anger is destructive or useful. Nowadays, in the modern world, in some environments and some cultures, it is even considered useful to express anger. It seems to be the means to get rid of it, to actually let it manifest. But if we analyze that, if we really check, what's your state of mind? How do you feel when you're angry? Are you actually happy? Can anger and happiness be there simultaneously? Or is it the case that your minds get agitated when anger arises? Consider a situation when you have a full-blown episode of anger. At that very moment and at that time, are you able to think clearly? Are you in full control of what you say or do? Can you recognize a pattern in the type of situations in which you become angry, or the people with whom you become angry with? What effect does this pattern have in your own life when you encounter those people, those situations? Do you react in the same way? Also check what is the general feeling when you're angry. Notice if underneath the anger there's something else. Perhaps you feel hurt, afraid, or sad. Anger often makes us feel powerful, when inside we feel powerless. Getting in touch with the feeling behind the anger can help us understand how it arises. And to work on improving that feeling, working to eliminate the causes, rather than just focusing on the result. And then you can contemplate on how anger affects your speech. Are you able to communicate effectively with others when you're angry? Are you generally in control of what you say and in the way that you say things? Or the more that you get angry, the less control you have. Do you aggressively lash out at people? Or do you withdraw and not speak? Suppressing anger is also not the solution. It can be detrimental to yourself, as you actually deny that the anger is there. So really check and notice, what is your reaction? How do you behave when anger arises in your mind? You can also check what is the effect of your actions on others. The things that you do when you're angry have an impact, not just on yourself, but also on other people. Do you go as far as even being physically violent with others? Do these actions bring you any happiness at all? Later on, when the anger subsides, when you feel calm, how do you feel about what you said and did when you were angry? Is there a sense of shame or guilt? Perhaps even loss of self-esteem? How is that beneficial to any of the parties involved? Does it benefit you? Does it benefit others? And also think how you appear to others' eyes when you're angry. Do you think that's something you want to cultivate? Having experienced the appearance of an angry person yourself, do you think you want to be that person for others? Somebody who seems to be aggressive, is there any way in which anger promotes mutual respect, harmony, and friendship? So seeing that anger and resentment destroy your own and others' happiness, make a determination to be mindful, to be able to observe when it arises, and to the best of your ability, trying to apply antidotes to subdue it. You can think of the third verse of the verses of mind training, which says, "In all my deeds may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront and avert them." And this certainly includes anger as a very destructive emotion that puts our own peace of mind and that of others in danger. So those of you who need to move, to switch the posture, to come out of the meditation and simply take care of the body, you can do it now. So we go back to the posture. Now we're going to deal with some antidotes to counteract anger. As you know by now, we react to the bell by bringing the awareness back into the body, allowing it to become calm and relaxed, but also solid and stable, free of tension and constraint, but alert and attentive. To briefly regain stability and to bring back the body to its natural state, allow yourself the luxury of 3 deep breaths. Inhaling all the way in and letting go, releasing the breath naturally. Again, breathing in fully, releasing all tension, worries and concerns. Breathing in peace, breathing out thoughts. Just relax and let go. Cultivate your own balance. Find yourself in equilibrium, while you still remain awake and alert. And letting go of the body, we go into the space of the mind, contemplating on anger, but also on patience, which is its main antidote. And patience is the ability to remain undisturbed in the face of harm or suffering. Being patient, however, does not mean being passive. Rather, it gives us the clarity of mind necessary to act or not to act. This clarity of mind is needed because of the moment of anger. We lose our ability to think clearly, to reason, and to take conscious decisions that can improve the situation. So cultivating patience allows us to regain this peace of mind, this clarity that is so needed to interact with others effectively with an open heart which understands not just your own posture but takes into consideration the person in front of you. So making it very practical, think of an example of your own life. Remember a situation where you got insulted. Somebody said something very mean about you. So in this case, instead of getting angry, you can use reasoning to approach the situation from a new perspective. For instance, It can be that what the person said is actually true. If they criticized you and were actually right about it, then that person is actually showing a flaw or a shortcoming that you may have. And getting angry will not solve that. Getting angry will not prove the opposite point. Getting angry will simply upset you and make your mind agitated. So if what the other person said is true, then there's absolutely no need to get angry. You can simply acknowledge your mistake or the fact. Take note of it and work on it. On the other hand, if what the person said is totally false, then again anger is totally unnecessary. It can be something that you can even laugh about, as you know it to be completely false. Not a hint of truth on what they said. So if anger will rob you of your peace of mind, and will be a reaction that causes you suffering, and can potentially create suffering for others as well, for something that someone said, is it really worth it? And you can even go as far as analyze exactly and precisely what this person said. What is it that you reacted to? What exact word? Do you get angry at the word or at the person who says it? So dissecting in this way, analyzing what is the source of the uncomfortness, what is the source of the hostility that arises in you. You can notice that what people say to you are simply words. Words are simply sounds. If somebody that you love told you exactly the same thing, would you get angry in the same way? Would you react in the same way? And then bring into mind a difficult situation. Any kind of situation where you experience discomfort, where there is perhaps some argument, some confrontation, or when something just goes wrong. When you were expecting a package to be delivered and it just didn't come, or it came broken. Imagine a circumstance such as that. And ask yourself, in that situation, can I do something about it? If you can, then anger is completely out of place. Because by simply applying this solution, you can improve the situation. Anger will bring nothing to the table. It will just make you unhappy. And if there's nothing that you can do about it, again, anger is useless. Because nothing can be done. And therefore getting pissed off at the situation or the person is simply going to make things worse for yourself and for them. Instead of that, you can just let it go, knowing that none of your actions will improve the situation. Just accept and observe. Really let that sink. How in both situations where there's something that you can do and there's something that you can, there's nothing you can do. Both situations, anger is not necessary whatsoever. And then thinking of a situation that involves another person, perhaps an argument or a very heated discussion, perhaps where a person reacts towards you with anger and you lash back at them in the same way. Instead of perpetuating the argument, you can think in this way. You can ask yourself what actions you did recently that prompted this disagreement. Try to put yourself in the shoes of the other person. Take their stand. An argument is just simply two people having different perspectives. It is not necessary that they convince each other, but rather that they understand the other person. And examining like this helps you understand why the other person is upset. Another way that you can deal with a situation which is difficult, in which anger can arise, is to simply remember the kindness of a disagreeable person, somebody that you might consider an enemy. First, he or she points out your mistakes, so you can actually correct them. Work on the things that you need to work on, and therefore improve. And second, the enemy gives you the opportunity to practice patience, which is a quality that is necessary in your spiritual development. In this way, this person is giving you the opportunity to practice, to develop yourself, to cultivate a very good quality of the heart. This is a precious opportunity. And for that you can be thankful. You can also ask yourself if it's a person's nature to act like this. Remember for a second that the person being angry at you is just another human being, just like you. Do you always behave in perfect ways? We're all probably lots of times under the control and influence of afflictive emotions. So this person that might seem harmful is also in the same boat, suffering of attachment, aversion, and ignorance. So if it's not really under nature to be like this, there's no reason to be angry. Finally, you can examine the disadvantages of anger and holding a grudge. How it affects you, how it really gets in your mind. Noticing that there's absolutely no benefit to it. You will want to give them up, because first and foremost, we want to be happy. And anger, hostility, and holding a grudge can only cause you suffering. So with that in mind, try to be determined to set an intention to develop the positive qualities of the heart that allow you to act with kindness, with openness and compassion in the face of adversity and difficulties. A mind which remains calm and balanced, regardless of what is coming from outside. Thinking not just of yourself, but also of others, wishing to benefit them.